Welcome back to the opener. I am Zach Broderson with my co-host Will Gellner, and we've got a special guest today. This is Rivalry episode. We're bringing in our great friend, resident Yankees ball knower, RonnieSmooth. Ronnie, how you doing today?
What's going on, guys? I'm doing good this Monday morning, holiday weekend, so enjoying the long weekend. Didn't quite get all the games in this weekend, but excited to at least get to it and talk some ball with y'all.
We're excited to have you here. Thanks for joining us, and I'll pass it to you, Will. How are you opening today?
I got to open, obviously some Rays Yanks. Rays' little brother finally get a win, right? No surprise, right? A short porch home run, only a home run in 3 stadiums, but Rays finally got some respect from MLB. They're number 2 on the power rankings now. Not like that means anything, but finally a little respect for our boys now.
Question for you, Ron. Is this the first clutch home run of Aaron Judge's career?
It's not the first one. No, that is a big storyline with him. Mainly in the playoffs, he doesn't come through, but that has been a big storyline of his career. Is, does he have that clutch gene? So it was nice for him to pop a little 380 footer out there to seal the deal. So
yeah. I promise we're not going to be making fun of the Yanks. This is a legitimate. There's rivalry in here, of course, but this is a legitimate. We need to learn. I want to learn about our rivals. Maybe we can find an edge. Maybe we can get an edge that I can pass along to the Rays department as a sleeper agent. That's my plan. So, as you mentioned, we split the series, a shortened series, thanks to a rainout. We actually didn't think we were going to get Game 3 in yesterday, so glad that we got that done. So the Yankees get their first win against the Rays this year. We're going to talk about the series recap. Just in a minute here, we'll talk about the Yankees, the Rays, the AL East as a whole. We had to, real quick, before we do that, give a kind of a Rays IL update because Johnny DeLuca went down during the Yankees series. Didn't he do that same thing last year? Wasn't it in the Yankees series in like July he went down with oblique or?
Yeah, first it was in the Rangers game, the beginning of the season with the shoulder, and then I think he was rehabbing and he was kind of in Durham working his way back, and I think it was his hamstring in Durham. I don't know if he made it back to the major league roster last year, but yeah, it's a tough blow. Kevin Cash, it's a 10-day IL, but they expect it to be longer than the 10 days. I know he was getting imaging, so depends what the imaging came back with. So yeah, pretty big blow for the Rays. The Rays outfield leaves them pretty short-handed with right-handed outfield bats.
Yeah, Ron, I don't know if this is hitting the greater baseball fandom, but the Rays are like low-key kind of banged up. Like we don't have Jake Fraley anymore, one of our offseason signings. We have yet to see Gavin Lux, who is supposed to be our everyday first baseman. So New York's own Richie Palacios has been playing second base, with Carson Williams doing a little bit of a platoon because Ben Williamson, who's been a key, like a centerpiece for this team, is hurt. And then on the pitching side, Pepio's out for the entire year. Joe Boyle's been down. Half our bullpen, like all of our high leverage guys, have been out the entire year.
No
besides
Uceda.
Brian Baker. Yeah. So the fact that we're this good is a miracle. So how's the injury situation for the Yankees? I know you just got Cole back. Fried is down. How are we looking over there?
Yeah, so beginning of the year, the big story was waiting on Fried and Cole and Rodon to get back. So we've got both of them back now. So the starting rotation is kind of at full strength. But right as they get going, Max Fried goes down with a bone bruise. A little scary there because first reports were just elbow. That's always got you thinking Tommy John. So good news that it was just a bruise and he'll be shut down for just a couple weeks, hopefully. But then Giancarlo Stanton, our proverbial injured list resident, you can pretty much just book it regular season. He's going to be hurt. He's going to be out for a considerable amount of time. But the thing about him is, he's the DH. He's a big bat. But when you take him out of the lineup, everything else kind of domino effects from there. Because you lose him in the DH, and then all of a sudden you got to put either Rice in the DH spot or Wells in the DH spot, and then you lose that depth either in the infield or your catcher spot. And then as we see, Jason Dominguez then goes down, and now we've got depth issues in the outfield, and so Giancarlo going down with the other injuries on top just kind of spirals it. And then on the pitching side, Luis Gil went down with some inflammation, and then Clark is still recovering from the Tommy John. So not quite as extensive as the Rays, but some of our big guys down for sure.
Yeah, when I heard the injury for Max Fried, I thought it might have been Uncle Tommy. I thought Uncle Tommy might have been coming to the door. Which I would have been so bummed because I love Max Fried.
Yeah, I know he's your
My
boy.
favorite pitcher. He's my guy. He is my guy. I wanted to say too, it's a good point on Stanton because one of the things that stands out with the Yankees lineup is how left-handed it is, and having Stanton in there just changes the dynamic. Having Stanton and Judge, two of the most elite. I mean, Judge is in a echelon of his own, but two very elite right-handed power bats changes things quite a bit.
Yeah, so the big thing there is he went down, and then all of a sudden we have Rice and Paul Goldschmidt, who are platooning at first base. Now we have Rice as the DH. Now Paul's getting more at bats. And he's been hitting a little bit better, but you just give Aaron Boone a little bit harder decisions with that big bat going down. So it's been tough, but the past couple of years it's honestly been expected. So it's not, as a Yankee fan, it's nothing surprising there, unfortunately.
It's priced in. It's priced into their models.
Yeah.
It's priced in. So let's get into this series here. So going to the Bronx, and I think the Yankees fans the Yankees are always a little tortured going to the Trop. There's definitely a home field advantage for the Rays there. I feel a similar way about the Bronx, maybe not to the same level because it's still like an outdoor stadium, like it has its uniqueness to it, but just the environment, right? The environment of being in the Bronx and the fans and the iconicness of it all. And so I think we were pretty happy to get a split. Game one, late heroics in game one. The Rays just kind of raised. Like that's just what what the kids say. The Rays just kind of raised. So we came up clutch there with some big hits and managed to get that game one off Tim Hill. So what did you see from game one?
Yeah, I'm glad we came out and split the series because, like you said, I have that feeling with Yankee Stadium and with Fenway Park is, especially night games, I think can just get so gritty, and there's kind of that eerie feeling of playing there and the fans, and you got short porch and Aaron Judge, so things can get a little freaky, a little scary when you're playing there. So I'm glad they took at least a split when you're only playing two games. But Nick Martinez, he continues to shove. I think his line actually didn't look as good as his actual performance. He had a lot of traffic that he was dealing with, and it was only a matter of time for something to happen, right? The Austin Wells home run to right center, it was almost inevitable because of all the traffic, whether it was some walks he was giving up, a couple base hits. I felt like every inning he was pitching with somebody on base, whether it's a leadoff guy, second guy. I feel like there was always traffic, but he did his job, right? I think he has a 1.51 ERA right now. So, like you said, the Rays greased the Yanks in the eighth. I mean, just little stuff that the Rays do, and we see it on a nightly basis. But someone like Ronnie is probably like, considers that the Devil Rays magic that I see Yankee fans saying on Twitter, right? Is you get a little kind of like a sharper, odd hit to Caballero that takes a weird bounce. And, you got Simpson. So you have to be perfect already just to get Simpson. And then it starts unraveling from there, right? The hit by Caminero and gets Simpson to third. The gapper by Aranda to score the tying run. And then, Richie comes in against a lefty, stays in against the lefty. Carson doesn't hit and gets just kind of this lucky over-the-top, hits Hill's glove over Caballero. And, yeah, it was, to us, that's regular Rays baseball. It was pretty similar to what we saw when they played the Orioles in that last game and they beat the Orioles, right? Everything's not really working, and they just have that one inning where they're able to just slime you a little bit.
That feels like a ball that Tim Hill scoops up like 98% of the time. Like Tim Hill, that's just like up his alley, right back at him. A little flare, throw down to second base, a little bit of some kind of emote. He's very like gangly, some kind of Tim Hill emote was going to happen there if he made that play. So I got two things for you, Ronnie, for game one, and you can take it wherever you want from the Yanks side. The big news is that Garrett Cole came back, and of course he had to come back against the Rays. That always happens to us. But what did you see from Cole there in game one? I think it was 6 scoreless innings.
Yeah, he was really good in my opinion. He actually shortened his rehab assignment because he was throwing so good down there. No point in wasting bullets down the minors when you got him, so let's get back up and face the Rays. I thought he was great, kind of clinical, usual Cole start. I thought he had good velocity, he had good movement on his stuff, and I thought the game was called well too. So I thought the locations were good and everything, and Cole has a big say in that too. So I thought just kind of your typical absolute great game by Cole. And then Hedrick came in and did well as well before Hill came in. And Hill didn't pitch bad, but just kind of got cheesed there a little bit. But I thought Cole was great.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the second one for you, which was kind of a premonition of Game 2, is Judge got the last at-bat in Game 1 as well and hit it deep to left center field, and Mullins tracked it down. Did you think that ball was going out off the bat?
For a split second I did, but then, so as a Yankee fan watching Judge all the time, you watch the ball leave the bat, and then you look at him. Like, you can tell immediately whether he knows it's out or not, and you could tell he knew he didn't quite get it. So I was getting ready to pack it up after that, but got a good pitch and almost did it, but I was glad he got it the next day. But one of the things about the first game was Trent Grisham getting thrown out at home in I think it was the second or the third. That kind of felt like our chance. Like that inning felt like our chance, and when we didn't get it through there, I kind of felt like we would have had to put up a bunch because our bullpen has not been great. So once we kind of get past Hedrick and Hill, it's not great, and then once Hill gave up a couple runs, I didn't really think we had a chance of coming back, which is unfortunate for a Cole game. So, but it was still nice having him back, and it was a good game.
Yeah. Ronnie, I have a question for you, if I can,
Yeah.
real quick, about the Yankees bullpen. Right. So Brody and I we talked about this, and you probably saw it a bit in the times the Rays have played the Yankees, but the Rays usually use a lot of their relievers for more than one inning, right? So Ian Seymour, right, he'll go 1 2/3 or sometimes 2 innings. Kevin Kelly, even though it didn't work out yesterday, will sometimes go an inning plus. They do this with a lot of their relievers. I don't know if it's to keep everybody fresh or for what reason, but I've noticed with the Yankees, and not just this game, for other games before this, is they churn through a lot of pitchers, right? They'll have Cruz go out and just throw like a third of an inning or 2/3 of an inning, and they don't send him back out even after maybe like 8 pitches. As like a Yankee fan, are you like waiting for Boone to start sending these guys out for multiple innings? Do you think it's going to happen at some point, or do you think they're going to keep their, you get 1 inning and that's all you got?
That is a talking point that's been going around Yankee fandom for the past couple of years. I'm not completely sure, but I think it's kind of a developmental, kind of organizational thing that they're doing. Because Boone has said in the past, like, we like clean innings. If we can give a pitcher, 1, 2, 3, we like doing that. We don't necessarily love bringing someone in just with 2 outs, but we'll do it. But they do not like bringing a guy in from the bullpen, having him sit, and then bringing him back out.
Right.
With the exception of Hedrick will go out for 2 innings. Sometimes they'll send Bednar out for a 4-out save, but other than that, the Yankees are really, really tied and in love with clean innings out of the pen.
Yeah.
That is interesting. Because we have noticed the opposite for the Rays. Besides 2 guys like Clevenger and Baker, who are kind of at the back end of our pen. Baker's assumed the closer role, which was up in the air going into the year. Just like Will said, like it seems like more often than not, our starter, let's say, gets through the 5th or the 6th, and then the 7th and the 8th is one guy, unless we have to bring in a fireman, or maybe so a lot of our starters are on innings limits. Pretty like Steven Matz is reliever converted to starter, so if he gets through 5, that's good. Rasmussen got into the 7th yesterday. I believe he recorded an out in the 7th inning for the first time since like 2021 or 2023, one of those 2. So he usually goes 6, and he's our ace, and he can't really go more than 6. And then McClanahan's coming back from his arm being pulled pork, and so he's, he goes like 5 innings. So it's interesting. Maybe it's a product of that the starting rotation, which has been really good, and maybe has gotten more innings than we expected going into the year. It always seems like if they go 5, then there's going to be a guy that goes the 6th and the 7th. or a sixth and the seventh, half the seventh, and then another guy comes in for half the seventh and half the eighth. It's like it never seems to be one inning, guys. It's an interesting approach this year for us.
Yeah, it's kind of similar with the Yankees with the starters getting more innings than is typical. The trend, obviously, in MLB has been, starters going shorter, but with kind of roster changes, it's kind of more rewarding to have the starters go a little bit longer. So the Yankees have kind of been, 6 innings or a 6 and a third, and then you bring in, a Cruz, and then you got Hedrick Hill, and then the closer. But old friend of you guys, Ryan Yarbrough, we never use him. Like, I forgot, I didn't even mention him when I'm talking about the pen. Like, you're talking about a guy that can go multiple innings. We never use him. I think he was warming up in one of the games against you guys, but it was going to be for like the 9th inning or something, or extras if we needed it. So, like, that's a guy that, could come in for the 5th or the 6th and get you some outs if you need it, but we literally never use him.
He's funk and craft, like, I wonder if he's kind of just a mop-up guy at this point in his career. Do they bring him in like high leverage at all?
Sometimes, but like, why not bring him in like as the first guy after Schlittler or something? Like after seeing 102, for 5 innings, get a little slidey funk in there, and But maybe I'm not a coach in the Yankees, so I don't know. But it's interesting that we don't use him.
So okay, so you got the game 2 walk off. It was a pitcher's duel. It was truly a pitcher's duel. And Weathers was very good. He's been good this year, and then on the flip side, Rasmussen, like I mentioned, got into the 7th, through the 7th for the first time that we can remember here. And then you get the walk off in the 9th. Did you know that one was gone off the bat?
Yes, because of the direction it was going.
What direction would that be?
That would be headed towards the shore porch. It was a little right center. It wasn't quite. It wasn't quite right, but that's not out in every ballpark for sure. But it was out in the one that counted. So that was definitely a good ending to the game, especially because, as you said, I wasn't sure we were going to get it. So I was just going to be seething till September, just banking on that one game that we played and lost. So I was glad that we got it in and that he hit that one. So
I feel like both the Yankees and Judge kind of needed that.
Yes, because I think, what is it? That was the Yankees broadcast was all over it. I'm not sure about the Rays, but that was either his 11th game without an RBI and 12th without a homer or something like that.
In a row?
Mentioned it on there.
Yeah. And so major, he needed that, and the team needed that. So hopefully that'll propel us as we. I think we're heading to Kansas City. I could be wrong, but a little road trip coming up. So hopefully that gives the boys some momentum. Seeing Cat pull through for them.
Yeah, I had been seeing all kinds of things about Judge is washed. It's over. He's 34. Cancel Christmas. This guy still has a 161 OPS plus this season. Career 178. It's unbelievable how high the bar is that he's created for himself. What is it like to every single day in your lineup to have a future Hall of Famer, like generational hitter, rolled out there every single day?
It's fun. I mean, and it's hard not to kind of get complacent about it, or almost take advantage of it, that like I get to watch Judge every day and he's on my team. Like, everyone gets to watch Judge and gets to see him, but I get to root for him, and when he hits a home run, they know that's my team. It's awesome. To see him not only be a good player on the field, but to see how he leads the team and the things he does off the field is really awesome. And the fact that you mentioned people are saying, he's washed, he has a down year. He's got 2.2 WAR right now, and 41 runs. So it's the kind of talent that you don't get, and you're not going to get very often. We're talking like every couple of decades. So super exciting to get to watch him. And it has to, like, coming, almost asking a question back, like, it has to, how does it feel to see a player like that, like, as a fan of a small market team? Like, does it make you mad? Like, is it, because, like, not I don't want to, like, talk bad, but, like, you'd probably not sign an Aaron Judge. So,
ahead.
like, as a fan of a small market team, like, what is like seeing a Trout or a Ohtani? Like, how does that affect you as like a fan of the game? I guess.
What do you think, Will?
Yeah, I think the Rays tried to get Trout. I think they offered him. I think he said for like a $300 million contract, but you kind of knew that wasn't happening for him to get a sign with the Rays. I think it just comes down to a great player that an organization just hit on, right? You see it, all the time. It happens, right? Well, Shohei is different, right? He was already doing his stuff in Japan, but the Angels hit on Trout, right? Yankees hit on Judge, and I think you showed me, Ron, the Yankee Reddit, and they were kind of talking about Aaron Judge, and in it they're like, this was before he was actually playing. They're like, I don't know about this Aaron Judge guy. He doesn't really seem like he's got it. I like Greg Bird a little bit more, Gary Sanchez a little bit more than Aaron Judge. But that's just kind of how it happens. Sometimes these guys aren't the big top prospects in baseball, but they have great careers. And I mean, I don't know how you can look at Aaron Judge and be like, this guy's not a top prospect or this guy's not going to be great when you're like 6'7", probably like 240, have such a perfect, what kind of swing does he have? Kind of like the crank style swing.
That one dude.
Yeah.
You see on Instagram.
Yeah. He's, I like seeing it. It makes me hopeful that, the Rays will hit, they have Junior Caminero, which, is he like Aaron Judge? Probably not, right? Aaron Judge is a very good right fielder, and we saw it in the series. He made a couple really good plays in right field, and his bat is just on a different level. His box presence is just a different level. He's a really, really good hitter. It makes me hopeful that Rays can maybe get somebody like that, right? We have in our system we have Theo Gillen, who's probably our best outfielder in our farm right now, probably our best prospect in our farm. So you'd be like Aaron Judge and hit 62 home runs in the season. Probably not, but it gets me hopeful that the Rays can maybe hit on somebody one day, right? When you look at the Yankees history and the Rays history, we did. Well, when you look at the Yankees history and the Rays history, Yankees have had a lot more chances to hit on guys because they've been around a little bit longer, maybe developed different scouting, different ways. So I like Aaron Judge. Don't get me wrong. There's players on the Yankees that I really like. I was saying I'm glad Cole was back because it's just good for baseball. I have Judge on my fantasy team, right? I like Aaron Judge. I just hate when he's in the box versus the Rays. It just kind of scares me a little bit.
Yeah, we had our generational talent, and unfortunately, that did not end up very well. He's looking at prison for a long time, so those don't come by very often, which just makes it extra tough. I
didn't know Longoria went to jail. What did he do?
Yeah, we hit Longo, which is great.
That was a different era. It does not. It doesn't make me upset as a Rays fan when we can't sign big free agents because it's just we're so. We expect that. So honestly, somebody like a Cedric Mullins kind of gets me aged up a little bit just because like he's a notable name. And when we signed him, even though he's having a tough year and definitely on the back nine of his career, like just because it was a notable name that people know, that kind of got me a little bit excited. So that's like where we're at. Whereas you guys have the ability to go out and sign Max Fried for $1 trillion, or Garrett Cole for $1 trillion. It doesn't really upset me. It's just how it goes, It's just, but to what you said before, it is more. It's hard to ever get used to having to trade every good player that you have when they get to like arbitration 2. And we've got a lot of guys, like somebody, for example, that people may not know is like Shane McClanahan is coming up. I believe he's going into ARB 3 next year, and. So the way that arbitration works is that in your third year, you get to compare yourself to everybody around the league. So that's why Skubal got so much money is because he could point to a Zach Wheeler and say, I'm just as good, if not better than this guy, That's how you get $31 million. So Shane might be really expensive next year, and this might be a guy who, like, just coming back to us, we're so excited to have. He's pitching great again. Might just have to get traded because we can't pay that much money to we can't average $15-20 million a guy, right? So that's more the part that, not the free agents, it's just the homegrown talents that end up, having to go somewhere else after 4 years.
On the other side, though, like coming from a fan of a big market team, like it is very cool to see the Rays scoop up guys, have the 3 best years of their career, leave, and then fall off again. Like the Rays just have a very, very, very skilled way of finding those players, developing them, and like just finding that skill within the player. And like as a big market team, like that doesn't, like, you're just not going to sign those players. Like our pitching with Matt Blake, you know, sometimes we'll sign, you know, a kind of a project for Matt Blake, you know, who's not that great, and then, you know, a year or two later he's pitching really well. But like, just like your team identity this year, as someone who doesn't watch the Rays every day, is scrappy. You guys don't hit the ball hard, but you get on base and you're fast. So
We hit the ball the softest, actually.
like that's just never going to be the Yankees team identity. Like a team that just hits the ball in play and is fast. So like it's like a Chandler Simpson, like that's a guy that would be on our team in 6 years after he's lost 20% of his speed, doesn't quite have as much range. Like those are players we get like when they're washed, like to fill up our bench. So like it would be nice to, I guess, not have as much of like the home run or bust, like, but that's just always going to be the Yankees construction, and it's something you have to get used to as a Yankee fan.
Yeah, when we traded Caballero to you guys, I think I said this at the time, that was the exact type of player that you needed on the Yankees side. Just someone who he's played primarily short, you know, especially this year, but just someone who can play every position, annoying as hell, speedy, like, it seemed like a very anti-Yankees mold type of player, and that's why I thought it was perfect, just to add a little bit of balance. And he's been great this year for you guys. And there's a lot of guys I want to ask you about on the Yankees side of things. So I think the one that we saw it last year, but the guy who shocks me how scared I am when he steps in the box is Ben Rice. How good is Ben Rice, man?
Ben Rice is very good. And last year, watching the Yankees, we have David Cohn on our broadcast team, and as much as he says he's an old head and he's a traditional baseball guy, he is deep into the stats. And so, you know, every game that, you know, Ben Rice was hitting a 115 mile an hour line out, David Cohn was talking about his expected stats, and this kid's just unlucky. Just wait till next year, he'll start hitting. And that has come to fruition. He's hitting the ball just as hard as he was last year, but it's finding the gap now, and it's finding the seats. And that's kind of what we needed, losing some bats to the offseason. So Ben Rice and Bellinger both Bellinger had a great year last year, but I think he's even stepped up a little bit. He's been in a slump the past couple days, but this season he's been great. He's leading our team in WAR, actually. But Ben Rice, really breakout season, kind of expected from Yankee fans. It's probably a little bit more surprising if you're not a Yankee fan or watching all the time. But it's just been awesome to see all of the things that were supposed to happen actually start happening. And he's just such a good kid. Like, anytime he does something good or gets a hit, just the biggest smile on his face. He can't hide his, like, emotion and exuberance. It's really cool. And he's smart. I think he went to, like, Dartmouth or...
He did. He did. I was about to say some of his bona fides here. He's a 12th rounder in 2021 to Dartmouth. He's actually 27, which kind of surprised me. I would have thought he was like 20, 24, 25. So, you know, he's really in his prime years right now. And, like, you look at his Savant page, and it's just a sea of red. It's just red pretty much everywhere, like slightly above average strikeouts, but you would happily trade that off for the power production. He's got a 624 slugging right now and a 377 on base. So it's actually interesting. You look at a guy like a Junior Caminero, has the fastest bat in Major League Baseball, but you still have to optimize like the contact that you make, right, to make use of it. So Ben Rice has average bat speed, but is extremely good at squaring up the ball and hitting it, you know, with the perfect conditions to hit home runs. So he's really impressive. Will, is there somebody on the Yanks side that, you know, you like that just surprises you or you want to talk more about?
I love. There's a lot of Yankee guys, like, and I hate that I'm saying this, but there are a lot of Yankee guys that I like, right? I really like Cam Schlittler. I think he's such a good pitcher. And we saw it last year, and we saw it in the playoffs, so you kind of knew that he was going to be good, but to be as good as he is, honestly, like as dominant as he is, the Rays beat him in the, back in the Trop. That's at the Trop, right? But he is absolutely like he's electric to watch. You look at the young pitchers in baseball right now, right? You got Jacob Mizorowski, right? You have obviously like Paul Skeens, I'm trying to
Trey
Chase
Savage.
Burns, yeah, Trey Savage, right? And some of those guys are just in the AL East, but I think Cam Schlittler is like right up there with all of them, right? He has the velocity, he has the stuff, he has the height, and he is so young. And imagine you're whatever old. I think Cam Schlittler is like 23 is my guess, maybe 24. I know he's not old at all, but maybe that's extra on the young side that I'm thinking of. But imagine you're this young pitcher in the starting staff for the Yankees. We're in the pinstripe. You're in New York City, right? You're in the Bronx, and that's not New York City, but you're in the Bronx, right? You're in New York. And your mentors, you could say, the guys you're kind of working with, is Garrett Cole, Max Fried, and Carlos Rodon, right? And it's funny that Carlos Rodon's probably the worst out of those three, but these are all three guys that have had successful careers, have made big money, and you just get to kind of like pick their brain and learn from them. So yeah, if I'm spending some time talking about some guy on the Yankees, I think I want to talk about Cam Schlittler, right? The Schlitt Show, as I like to call him.
Yeah, Cam's awesome, man. He's he pitched a couple games before that Red Sox series in the playoffs last year, but that's kind of when everyone started recognizing who he was. He's awesome. The fact that he does, I mean, he's got like 5-6 pitches, but it's essentially 4 fastballs and like 2 curves. Pretty much hit it or don't. It's coming at you 102. But with how lanky he is, like he's as tall as Judge. He's 6'7". That 102's got to be like 110. So, but I love his attitude on the mound too. He's a bit of a rat. I mean, we see him, talking his crap to the Boston fans. But I just love, it doesn't matter if it's Trout, if it's Vladimir Guerrero Jr., if it's Caminero, whoever it is, he doesn't pitch you any different. He's throwing fastballs down the middle. He's dotting. He's throwing that curve in the dirt. And he doesn't let anything affect him. I mean, he's been hit on comebackers like 5 times this year. Like the foot, the back, just like everything, dodging balls, and every time just a little smile, just laughing it off. You can tell he's just out there having a good time. And the fact that he can make it look so easy like that is really impressive.
Do you know how impossible this has to be to make good contact? If you are a right-handed hitter against Cam Schlittler, there's a 30% chance that he's throwing a 4-seam, a 30% chance that he's throwing a cutter, and a 30% chance that he's throwing a sinker. They are all extremely hard, right? And you don't know, as that ball comes out of his hand from the same window, you don't know whether it's going to go straight as the 4-seam and kind of rise up, or if it's going to go left with the cutter or right with the sinker. Like, you literally have to get lucky, because you don't know which one it's going to be. And if you're going to get it on the barrel, if you're going to make contact at all, you've got a 1 in 3 chance of picking the right one of those 3 options.
Yeah, you hinted at it. He tunnels so well. That's the thing, because not only, if you want to be successful against Cam Schlittler, not only do you have to guess and pick a spot, you also have to guess and pick what variation of that spot. So are you sitting up and in, but are you sitting up and in with a little cut, with a little sink, or a little rise? And then also in the back of your head, he's got a 12-6 and a sweeper that could, get you out of your shoes. So I can't imagine having to. He's gonna learn a changeup. Like with all those guys in the rotation with him, as Will was mentioning, he's gonna learn other pitches. So I'm super excited as a fan to see how he develops.
Yeah, and that's kind of like Rasmussen for us. So he is he's very similar.
He was nasty.
Fastballs. Yeah, for 3, it's about 3 to 4 miles an hour slower than Schlittler, but it's the same thing. Is it going to be the cutter, the sinker, or the 4-seam? And that was almost all that he's going to give you. But this year, what's been really exciting for us, like him taking a leap, is he's got an elite changeup, which we saw yesterday in the game, that like Jazz swung at one, because you're not expecting it. Jazz swung at one that was like not even close, because you're not used to Rasmussen, throwing a changeup like that. And he's mixed in the curveball more, which he'll get to like the 3rd time through the order, and he'll start landing curveballs for, first pitch strikes. Like the feel for Rasmussen has really improved. And I'm going to hand it back to you, Will. But just before that, so the Yankees right now are have the third best pitching staff by ERA plus. So they're 29% better than league average. The Rays are fifth, have the fifth best pitching staff, 20% better than league average. So there's actually quite a big difference between 3 and 5 there. You know, you guys are 10% better than we are, ERA plus wise. So, but we're talking about two of the elite pitching staffs in Major League Baseball, Will.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone would argue if these are the two best pitching staffs in the American League for probably the rest of the season. You know, I know the Blue Jays are banged up, and they would have a pretty good pitching staff if they weren't. The Red Sox, you'd expect them to have a really good pitching staff with everything they got. And that's just the AL East, right? Then you look at teams like the Guardians, which are usually really, really good at developing pitching, and they do have some very good pitchers over there. But I think when you're talking about the top dogs, the big guys, right? It's the Rays and the Yankees in terms of the pitching staff. So, yeah, I think you know, Ras yesterday was really, really good, and we've seen the Rays pitchers incorporate that changeup so much more, right? Ras has been doing it. Brian Baker has that elite changeup, and Shane McClanahan is all over the changeup. Nick Martinez has a good changeup. Steven Matz has a good changeup. You're seeing all these guys on the Rays throw a changeup, and I think it's been able to kind of get these hitters off balance a little bit. But yeah, overall, you know, it was fun watching Ras in game 2, and you know, despite the bad base running, I think it was kind of a wake-up call a little bit for the Rays yesterday in game 2 that, you know, they could play their game, but things like bad base running will lose you games against good teams. The Yankees, I think it was a couple of years ago, was an awful base running team. They were so bad on the base paths. And even the Rays a couple of years ago were also bad. Yanni was trying to steal bases and all that stuff. And that stuff loses you games against good teams, right? The Rays could do it against maybe the Orioles, right? A not very good team, and they could get away with it, or the Marlins could get away with it. When you're playing the Yankees, bad base running will cost you games. It costs the Rays. You can make the argument it costed them 2 runs, but it 100% costed them 1 run, and that would have been the go-ahead run. And usually the games kind of play out different anytime it happens, right? So, yeah, it's I think, you know, if you're a Rays fan like us, splitting the series, you kind of think, all right, no harm, no foul. You know, we went in, we took 1, we lost 1, no change in the division lead. It's okay. Like, we'll just move on. It's no big deal. And if you're on the Yankee side, like, okay, hey, we you know, that's a good, we're in the slump. Judge hit that walk-off. Maybe this is the momentum that we need to kind of have a pretty good run here to finish out the month. So depending on the side of the coin, I think it was a good series for both fan bases, right?
Yeah.
For the Rays, like I said, no harm, no foul. Nothing happened, right? It's almost like the series didn't even happen for us. And for the Yankees, it's more so, all right, we got this monkey off our back of the Rays, you know, and our slump. Judge just went yard. You know, this could build us up to go face a not very great team in the Royals.
The teams counter each other so well, and we talked about this in our preview before this the series, in that the Rays literally hit the ball the softest and make the most contact in the league, and the Yankees hit the ball the hardest, and I don't know what their contact is, but it's truly just 2 completely different styles of baseball that balance each other out really well. Like, I feel like we can compete with your really good pitching because of our style of just putting the ball in play and slapping it all over the field. And whereas, you know, the Rays pride themselves on pitching and defense, the Yankees can just get us on one big swing. You know, a walk, just like that happened yesterday, a walk and then a homer. And that's 2 runs instantaneously, just like that. They counter each other so well. So I wanted to transition to who might we see for the Yankees? Like, who's in the farm system, you know, as we look later in the year? Are there any prospects over there that, I know we saw Rodriguez Cruz already on the mound. Who do you have, like, eyed over there in the farm system?
So, we saw a little sneak peek of Spencer Jones. He just got sent down either yesterday or the day before, as we had some people come back from the IL. Spencer Jones has been killing it. I think he's going to probably see some more time this year. He struggled when he was up. Big thing with him is high strikeout rate. I think you guys have a couple people in your farm that kind of have the same thing that they're working on. Yeah.
Who's up right now? Same thing.
So I think he's going to have some more time this year. He just needs some time down in the AAA before he gets back up. ERC, who you mentioned, Elmer Rodriguez Cruz, he struggled in all 3 of his games, or 4 that he pitched. But I think that was honestly a little bit early to call up. I think there was other things we could have done besides calling him up, whether that be a Yarbrough opener every couple of starts or something of that nature. I thought that was a little early for him. You could kind of tell he would give up a couple hits early, and it kind of spiraled from there. He doesn't quite have the mindset yet, I don't think. One I'm super excited for, who I think we could probably see in before the All-Star break even, is Carlos Lagrange. Tough to pronounce, but he is just absolute stank. We're talking massive velocity, good control. I think he's going to be great, which is huge because the back end of our bullpen is trash right now. So I'm really excited to see how he keeps doing down in the minors and basically just waiting every morning for the tweet that says we called him up. Yeah. Not hoping for an injury because no fan ever does, but it might take an injury to get him called up just because of the way our bullpen is constructed with options and things like that. But, I mean, when I'm talking massive velocity, we're talking 103, 104.
Yeah. It's going to be a problem.
Tons of strikeouts.
Yeah. I know he's Dominican, Ron.
Yeah.
He has to have his walkout song be Lagrange by ZZ Top.
Yeah.
He has to. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm. And then the one that I'm probably most excited about for the future, and if you asked me in the off season, I probably would have said he may have even been up by now, but because old friend Jose Caballero is doing so freaking good at shortstop, we can keep George Lombard Jr. back down to develop. But I'm super excited for him. As a Yankee fan, I'm over the Volpe experiment. I think some fans probably still have a little heart for him. I'm over it. The Yankees have this thing where they pick one prospect and are obsessed with them, and don't really care about any of the others. And last year they gave Volpe just way too big of a leash. Honestly, the past 2 years, the amount of errors, the bad at bats. I'm over it. So I thought George Lombard was going to come up, but Caballero's been so good that there's no need. But really looking forward to Lombard. He's got a great swing, makes really hard contact. So I think he'll fit right into our lineup really well.
Is he a better player than Volpe right now?
I think if you put them both on the major league team right now, they'd probably perform similarly. I'm more attuned to Lombard's hitting than his fielding. Honestly, haven't taken a look too much at his fielding.
I think it's good.
But I think we're probably looking at next year. I'm not sure what Jose Caballero's contract looks like, but I think we will probably see him next year. Honestly, at the earliest, I don't think we see him at all this year.
So Lombard is your number one prospect right now in the rankings, fielding future value of 60, or scouting grade of 60, which is very good. So they say he has a high baseball IQ, a potential 25-25 guy with fluid
That's
action,
important.
range to both sides, quick hands, and solid arm strength at shortstop. So I think it's going to be. I said something a little crazy on a previous pod when we're looking around the league a little bit. We were looking ahead to trade deadline acquisitions. I was like, do we trade for Volpe and put him on the Rays and see if maybe that environment is better for him?
He'd probably become all-star.
That's what it's really weird because I'm not a huge Volpe guy. I'm not a fan of your middle infield. Just putting it all out there between Volpe and Jazz. That does not get me going. No offense. But Volpe, I feel like if you put him on the Cleveland Guardians, I feel like he would become the best player in the world. Just out of New York, in it where he can kind of be like a star, as opposed to all this pressure to be that star. He can just go be the star. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, a couple have tried it and most have failed. Thinking of what has Gleyber Torres done since leaving the Yankees?
He
He's
had an all-star year.
okay.
Gary Sanchez is still in the league.
Yeah, Gary,
Yeah.
Scary Gary. Yeah, he's
Jake Bauers is
that
talked
Brew
about right
crew.
now. He's been pretty good with the Brewers as well.
Yeah, that is true.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So we got a couple guys on the way. You got a couple guys to keep our eyes. I don't. Do we know who Dax Kilby is? Are we familiar? Was that your first rounder from last year?
yeah, he was a draft pick from last year.
Okay. Well,
Um,
I wonder if he's doing well in the minors because I think similar to us, everybody takes a prep. I don't know if he was college or prep, but everybody takes that shortstop in the first round just because they're like the best athletes, especially the high school shortstop. And we got Daniel Pierce, and he's super high in our prospect rankings too at 18 or 19 years old.
Yeah, they got him as like a 2020 potential. Overall 55 on the scouting grade, but he's young. But the big thing is if you look at our top 10, top 20, a lot of pitching, which has been the story of the past couple of years for the Yankees. We've been really good at developing that pitching, and then once they get up to the big leagues, Matt Blake is like a wizard. So it's really exciting to see 7 of our top 10 be pitchers that are probably pretty close. So
That seems like the meta, Will, right now. Have just like 1 trillion pitchers on your team because everybody's gonna get hurt. So you just have 1 billion pitchers ready to go.
everyone's going to need Tommy John like twice. So
Yeah.
that's what the Dodgers have been doing. The Dodgers have
Body.
the Dodgers have like 10 starting pitchers on their 40-man every year, and it's because everyone gets hurt so often.
It's a little inevitable. Like, the Rays last year somehow had all their pitchers make all their starts. Somehow they did that. But with how hard everybody throws, how wonky people throw, the sliders, the curves, the sweepers, you see just more injuries now. And I think it probably is a little bit towards the advanced analytics, right? You have to do this, and that probably isn't great for your body all the time. So, I mean, the Rays are pretty similar. I think in their top 10, they have about half of them are pitchers. They're actually right-handed pitchers. But the Rays do a little bit different philosophy, right? Because they go out and acquire guys for their pitching staff more often than actually drafting and developing them. The Rays' top pitching prospect, Brody Hopkins, the Rays didn't draft him. They got him in the Randy Rosarena trade, right? You look at Anderson Brito, another one. They got him in the Brandon Loud trade. Same with Michael Forrid and T.J. Nichols. I think is the one that they actually drafted. He's their highest player that they actually drafted in terms of starting pitching. So, yeah, it's just how different organizations work. The Yankees are very good at finding and drafting pitching, where the Rays are very good at just acquiring these guys, right? You look at Shane Baz. He was a player to be named later because he had such bad, control issues, and he turned into, one of the Rays' top prospects. So it's just how the different organizations work, but they both clearly have pitching as almost their forefront mindset, right? Develop good pitching, and everything else kind of falls in its place after that.
I'm not sure if the Rays are actually good at drafting. I actually don't know. I don't know if we're good at drafting players. We're really good at international signings. Like you look at a Caminero and a Ronda, a Rosarena. Like we're good at that. I don't know if we know how to draft, which is going to be interesting because we have the number 2 pick this year, and we have like, I don't know if we still have the best record in baseball because of the Braves, but we also have the number 2 pick. So it's kind of like it's very exciting.
That's why baseball's a good sport.
Yeah, it is. It is. So before we start to wrap up here, looking ahead, obviously we've still got a lot of games to play between the Rays and the Yankees. So the season series is 4-1 Rays right now, which we were actually looking ahead of this call. The Rays of the Yankees since 2018 are 65-65. That's the record since,
Wow.
since 2018. So let me pull up the future games, because we know we've got that September series, which is going to be an extra one now that we lost. And sorry, Will, you might need to fill the air here while I look for our schedule.
Well, I do have one note that kind of pertains to the rest of the season, and kind of pertains to the whole running it back narrative that the Yankees were getting pounded with in the offseason. It's essentially the same team as last season, couple changes. The big story about the Yankees last year is we were really, really, really good at beating up on bad teams, and we were really good about losing to good teams. And it's the same thing this year. Last night, that put us to 2-9 on the season against teams above 500. So we've lost 9 games to winning teams, and we've only won 2 of them. And we've done really well against the losing teams, as you should. But it's just something, as a Yankee fan, that's scary to hear, and as someone in the AL East, something to look to is who are the Yankees winning against, and who are they losing against? Because that's all in well in the regular season, but once we get to the playoffs, it's all good teams and all good pitching. And that's really the problem is it's not our pitching that's losing us the games against the good teams. It's our hitting not hitting the good pitching. So that's just something to keep an eye on as the season goes forward.
Yeah. Who has there been a certain pitcher or two that just came in and just shut you guys down?
Not necessarily. They mentioned it yesterday because it was scoreless for so long with Ryan Weathers to start. I think 6 of his 10 starts this season, he's gotten 0 runs. And then one of those starts, he's gotten 1 run. So it was the same thing when we had Jordan Montgomery. Remember him a couple years ago? Yeah. Same thing. Every time he started, he got no run support. So it's kind of like a weird, is it a coincidence or is it like something, but it's like every time Ryan Weathers starts, there's no run support. So he's not getting any wins. And you saw yesterday, like he was pitching lights out and we weren't hitting you guys. So you guys are a good team, but you can kind of see where it's going. Like he pitched lights out only, and we only scored 1 or 2 runs at the end of the game, right? So you can kind of see how if we don't get those runs, we're losing a bunch of games 2-1, 2-0. Like those are our losses this season. So just something to keep an eye out against those above 500 teams.
Yeah, I mean, but you did, for example, did you play the Mariners, like, second series of the year?
Yeah.
And I think you guys swept them. And they have, maybe they took 1. I could be wrong, but they
I think really we did sweep them, but they had a really slow start, though, too.
Yeah. But to my point is that they might be over 500. Give them a week, they get hot. Yeah. Now you have 3 more wins over on a team over 500, like a good team.
Yeah, I think the way they do that stat though is at the time of the game.
Okay, that would make sense. Yeah. They should do it that way if they're not. Let me talk to them. All right, so I was looking ahead. So we don't see you guys until July. A 4-game series at the Trop. A midweek series Monday through Thursday. So that's right. By the way, could be just like it was last year. That's not the series. That's not the trade deadline, but it's right before the All-Star game. And there could be the teams could look different by then. You guys might have acquired somebody. We might have traded for Tarek Skubal. What do you think? Is there anybody has there any talk trade acquisitions for the Yankees? Has that happened? What do you need? If you're looking at position wise, where could you would you give up on McMahon at third and do somebody else over there?
Yeah, so if I was Brian Cashman, I'd be looking at catching and third baseman. There was someone though that just got hurt, and a bunch of Yankees reporters were like, the Yankees were looking at this guy for a trade. It wasn't it might have been Clay Holmes, which I was like, why would we want him back?
With the Mets?
Yeah.
Cross town?
You just broke his arm, didn't you?
Yeah, broke his leg.
His leg, yeah.
Oh my God.
Spencer Jones did that, yeah. And it was funny because Spencer Jones did not funny, but Spencer Jones broke Clay Holmes' leg, and Spencer Jones was only in the game because Dominguez got hurt in the Mets game previously. So it was just a little chain of events there, series of unfortunate events.
Real quick, is he down bad? Because didn't he slam into a wall? Is he okay?
I think his official, I have it up, his official injury is left shoulder AC joint sprain. So he's been on the IL since early May, looking at June. So,
okay.
He's been hitting off the tee and tossing a little bit. I don't know what the AC joint is.
Couldn't tell you.
But yeah, he slammed into that wall.
Well, I guess there's only one joint in the shoulder.
You'd be surprised.
Is it the joint?
It's the acromyoclavicular joint.
I just like I was said. Yeah.
It's actually not the joint you're thinking of. There's multiple. There's multiple.
What?
We don't need to get into it.
Mine only has one. All right. Well, Will, is there anything else you're burning on, Rays Yanks wise?
Before we close it out, no. I actually, it's funny. I mentioned on the pod a while ago that I expected Carson to get called up. May 15th is the date that I said. He got called up a little bit earlier than that, but this isn't Rays Yanks. It's just Carson ranting. But I want to see the Rays give him actually a little bit of a longer leash. I don't want him being up and being just a part-time player. I want him being, if he's playing, play, right? Don't platoon for him as soon as a lefty comes in, or as soon as a righty comes in. But that's a separate rant. I'm excited. The Rays Yankees in September, I think, is going to be probably the biggest series of the season, especially with that doubleheader now in New York. So we'll kind of just, if you're a Rays fan, you want the division or at least the playoffs clinched by that time. But that series, that 4 games, it's probably going to decide the division, right? It's the Rays have that 4 games and then a 3-game against Philly, and that's the season. So maybe you could look at July before the All-Star break, but to me, that September one is probably what's going to decide the division.
Yeah, I hate to say this. I do think the Yankees are a better team than the Rays. And even though we're 4-1 head-to-head, it could be very different by then. Things could be very different in the division by then. I mean, we're I hope not. I hope I'm completely wrong, but we're overdue for a slump at some point here, like a 4-game, 5-game losing streak. And it feels like the Yankees are just kind of emerging out of a little bit of a slump here after that, getting that Judge homer and that win yesterday. So I'm really interested to see where the standings are in like 2 weeks, and then obviously in September.
Yep.
So you want to close us out, Will?
Yeah. Well, with Ron on, I opened up with some, little Yankee banter, Rays Yankee banter. But I have to close it out with some Yankee trivia for Ron, right?
Uh-oh.
When we talk about Rays Yanks, we got to talk about Game 162, right? The iconic Rays game. And I actually think before Evan Longoria, it was the Mark Teixeira iconic game, because he had a home run and then he had a grand slam that doesn't actually get talked about enough because of how that game went. But I want to ask Ron, we're in the bottom of, what is the 12th inning, right? Longo's up to bat, he hits the home run. Who was the pitcher that gave up that home run? Do you know this?
In game 162,
used a lot of pitchers that game.
It was game 162. Is that what we're talking about?
Yep, game 162.
The only game in Rays history.
That was. Remind me of the year.
2011.
Was it Jabba Chamberlain?
That's literally who I guessed.
That's what Brody said. No. The answer was Scott Proctor.
Scott Proctor. Wow.
And Proctor the doctor.
What a pull. He was like our proverbial, like, why was he pitching? Like he because the game didn't matter probably for us, right?
Right. Yeah. Right. So it didn't
because
matter.
he was our just absolute mop up. Like if we were up 20 or down 20, like he pitched for 5 innings.
Yep. So he.
Are you saying this was a fraudulent homer for Longo?
He gave
That's
up,
so funny.
No, nothing's fraudulent for Longo. We know how Longo is. He gave up the home run, and to make it even better, as I was, the Yankees used a lot of pitchers in this game, but to make it even better, Scott Proctor pitched almost 3 innings this game. That was the last career pitch that Scott Proctor threw. Was the iconic, because then the Yankees went on to go play in the ALDS, right, in that year. And the Yankees, it's only they went 5 games in it. Scott Proctor did not pitch in those games, and he never signed for another team. I don't know if he retired or what, but that was the last ever pitch that Scott Proctor threw in his career, was that ball.
He in seven of his rows on Baseball Reference he has negative WAR.
How many rows are there? How long did he play?
He played for 7 years, but he was, it splits it up by team, like if he got traded. So like he was good, on the Dodgers. He accumulated some WAR there, but then just like he's so bad. It's so I haven't heard that name in so long. Like that's such a funny pull.
Yeah.
It looks like he actually did have a few good years in there. I see where he led the league in appearances in 2006.
That's his only bold. That's his only bold. He could get you some outs.
Scott Proctor, the doctor. He's from Martin County. He went to Martin County High School. That's right where my grandma used to live.
Yeah, that's Florida.
Oh, yeah. And he got drafted from Florida State.
Oh, never mind. I hate this guy.
Oh, no. So actually, let me rephrase that. So first he was drafted in 95 in the amateur draft from Martin County High School. Decided to go to college. Went in the 5th round in 1998 to the Dodgers from Florida State University, your guys' favorite university in the state.
Boo.
Well, on that note, appreciate everybody listening into this rivalry episode, first ever. And thank you, RonnieSmooth, for coming in. Do you have anything that you want to get off your chest before we end the show?
Thanks for having me. This was super fun. I don't want to hijack the podcast or the scheduling, but we have the potential to all be together a little bit later on in the year for a Rays series. So maybe the Ronnie will come back for an episode a little bit later on.
We're gonna have to pack the setup. Is that what I'm hearing? I gotta pack the mic, get the cam.
Yeah, I've got some mics, but yeah, bring the setup. We'll do an in-person setup.
Live. The opener live.
Should we sell tickets?
We might. We'll sell one. We'll sell one to Dom. Shout out Dom.
Well, to the millions of you listening in here at the end, thank you. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you soon on the opener. Peace.